let's talk about the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat are on a 5-game winning streak, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But unfortunately, we have some developments regarding Terry Rozier and the dispute regarding him. Sham Charania posted this the other day. Let me go ahead and show you guys. The Hornets are sending a 2026 second-round pick to the Heat to resolve a dispute over Terry Rozier being under NBA and federal investigation over alleged gambling conspiracy during the Charlotte and the Miami Heat trade, January 24 trade, sources tell ESPN. I cannot begin, I don't even know where to begin on how unbelievably flawed this compensation actually is. A second-round pick being the compensation for us being royally screwed over is a joke. It's a joke. In spite of the fact that Adam Silver investigated Terry Rozier back in 2023, and these aren't my words, these were his. How do I know these were his? Well, let's go ahead and hear from the man himself, shall we? I'll go ahead and increase this volume all the way. This is a 3-minute clip. So you're caught on 4K. 3-minute clip.
What was your initial reaction, and what have the last 36 hours been like for you?
My initial reaction was I was deeply disturbed. There's nothing more important to the league and its fans than the integrity of the competition.
I'm going to stop it right there. Notice how he said integrity of the competition. Integrity of the competition, right? This man is going over and beyond when it comes to tanking. When it comes to tanking, this man is going overboard with it. But when it comes to Terry Rozier and the investigation that's currently happening, I'll let it keep playing.
And so I had a pit in my stomach. It was very upsetting.
And Terry Rozier was allowed to keep playing after an NBA investigation ruled that there was no NBA rules violated. What do you make of that decision now amid the FBI's allegations against him?
So what happened was, because bets were placed through legalized legal betting companies, they picked up aberrational behavior around a particular game in March of 23. And so that was brought to our attention.
You heard that. You heard that. March of 2023. This was well before the Terry Rozier trade even happened. This was well before this trade happened. I want to make that very clear. The league was let known by one of these gambling companies that there is something aberrational betting going on right here. There is something going on. Adam, investigate these players.
By the regulators and the betting companies. We then looked into that situation and were very transparent about it. And while there was that aberrational betting, we frankly couldn't find anything. Terry at the time cooperated. He gave the league office his phone.
So they could not find anything. Nothing. They found nothing. That's what Adam Silver said. They found nothing. What I will say is that Terry Rozier was involved in it. And NBA franchises should have probably known that a guy like Terry Rozier, I'm sure Charlotte knew about it. NBA franchises should probably know about a potential gambling scandal going on regarding a player. That should probably be well known. Right? Because after all, you are keeping up with the integrity of the league. And God forbid that this comes back to bite you later on, right? God forbid.
We sat down for an interview, and we ultimately concluded that there was insufficient evidence, despite that aberrational behavior, to move forward. We then worked directly with the law enforcement, as they said at the press conference, that the league has been cooperating. And so that was obviously over 2 years ago. So the federal government has subpoena power, can threaten to put people in jail, can do all kinds of things that a league office can't do. So we've been working with them since then. And of course, what they announced yesterday was an indictment. So 2.5 years later, he still hasn't been convicted of anything.
You see, this is the problem with Adam Silver. This is the problem. He's working off of technicality now. Technically, he hasn't been convicted. Technically, he hasn't. So technically, Charlotte didn't do anything wrong. This is the same man talking about the integrity of the league, by the way. So you mean to sit here and tell me that you knew, you investigated Terry Rozier, you did an investigation, you found insufficient evidence, but you didn't think of telling some of the league offices, hey, some of these organizations, hey, we are currently investigating an NBA player on betting. This player is going to be suspended until further notice, until we have clear evidence that he did not take part in this. You mean to tell me that you decided not to tell any organization? Only the Hornets and only the NBA knew. Only those two. So then, when the Hornets found an opportunity to get a first-round pick for a player that was investigated for gambling, aberrational betting, you don't think the Hornets are going to take advantage of that? You don't think you should let the Miami Heat know, hey, this guy is involved in this? You let the Hornets pull a fast one on the Miami Heat. But we'll continue. Finish this off.
Fairness to Terry, obviously it doesn't look good, but he's now been put on administrative leave. And so, there's a balance here of protecting people's rights and investigating. And as I said, we've been working with the government, and they have extraordinary powers that a league office doesn't have.
And obviously, this story has taken some of the spotlight from what has been a really tremendous.
This guy was asked about the Miami Heat and Terry Rozier situation during the NBA Cup back in December. So this is 2 months later. This question is then asked by a reporter regarding Terry Rozier, regarding the Miami Heat. This question was asked.
The investigation into the arrests of Chauncey and Terry Rozier, where that stands, if the league even has an expected timetable, and as kind of a part within that, Rozier remains on the books in Miami. He's 17% of the cap. There's a draft pick that's going to convey in 27 or 28. Has the league considered any relief to the Heat about what they can do with that situation?
In terms of Miami, this is an unprecedented situation, and I think I'm incredibly sympathetic to the Heat and to their fans. But I think we're going to try to work this out with them. But there's no obvious solution here.
How ridiculous is that? There's no obvious solution. There is an obvious solution, Adam. You give the pick back. You give the pick back and make up for you screwing up. For you not letting the Miami Heat know what was going on. Because you, in your heart of hearts, did not think that the FBI would catch Terry Rozier, would catch anybody. You did not think. You did not think about that. And since you didn't think about that, the only team that got screwed out of all of this was the Miami Heat. They're the only team that got screwed because Charlotte gets a first-round pick. And the NBA goes on scot-free because they're not cooperating with the FBI. So the Miami Heat get the short end of the stick, and you say there's no obvious solution. There is. And it's not a second-round pick. It is not that. It is full compensation for a mistake that you made, and give us the first-round pick back. We're not going to sue the league office. Clearly we're not, because apparently, according to Barry, there is no rule. According to Barry Jackson, there is no rule regarding Charlotte hiding information. Adam Silver should be ashamed of himself. The league should be ashamed of himself. And the reality is this. This is a situation that is not going to be made right for the Miami Heat. It's not going to be made right. And the reality is the league did not think that the FBI would be getting involved in this kind of investigation. They did not think so. They thought they could sweep it under the rug. They mentioned that they did investigate Terry Rozier back in 2023 to cover their own tracks. And guess what? You didn't think the league would get involved, and now you're here. And we're screwed. The Miami Heat got screwed. Shame on the league. Shame on Adam Silver. Because he's been outside of even this situation, his job as commissioner has just been straight up pathetic. It's pathetic. It's pathetic.